Cluck TV presents A Closer Look with Al Travis, sharing how they select the stories featured on Destination Small Town.
Al Travis with Destination Small Town. We see a lot of businesses here. We highlight a lot of them. And some of the funnest ones to do are those where the family takes it to that next level. And what I mean by that is where a son will take over for a father and you just love it because he's that into the business. But then a grandson will want to take over for his father. But I'll tell you what, when you get 4 generations deep, you know you've got something. And we do with Weaver's Leather Store in Buffalo Center. What better way of telling the story of Weaver's Leather Store than using Tanner Weaver's own words in a story he wrote called Saving Souls Since the 1920s. Everybody wonders the history of our store, Weaver's Leather Store, so here it is. My great-grandpa Ted A. Weaver started the store after being injured in World War I. The military trained him to work on harness repair for horses. With that type of repair, shoe repair just naturally started. He started the business in the early 20s in Lakota. In the late 1920s, he moved the business to Buffalo Center on the west side of Main Street, where the bank and the clinic parking lot are today. In 1930, he built the building where the shoe store is now. In 1940, he had added an apartment above the shoe store. My grandfather, Leroy Weaver, was only 10 at the time. He grew up in that store. He worked alongside his father at a young age. At the age of 18, he ran the store mostly on his own because his father was very sick. When my grandfather was 19, my great-grandfather died of lung cancer in 1950. At that time, his only child, my grandfather, took over and ran the business. He changed the name of the store from T.A. Weaver to Weaver's Leather Store. In 1952, my grandpa was drafted to the Korean War. When he found out that he was getting drafted, he talked to the Red Wing Boot Company about keeping his dealership open. He did not want any other business in Buffalo Center to start selling Red Wings when he was gone. Another business in town was given the okay to buy Red Wings for customers, but could not keep any for inventory. This way, when Grandpa came back, he could continue selling the work boot he still sells today. When he left for the war, he left a sign on the door saying, "Been drafted to Korea. Come and get me." He came back in 1954 and could afford to buy only 36 pairs of Red Wing boots. My dad, Tim Weaver, started working part-time in 1979. He was only 13 years old. My grandpa had been hurt in a car accident, so my dad would come up here after school and help people with their shoe repair and selling shoes. My dad continued to work with his dad after high school. In 2004, my dad took over the business. Now I want to work at the store and someday own it myself. Tanner Weaver, grade 7. This is the kind of story we like to follow here, and to do that, we went right to the source. The Weaver's Leather Store. Via satellite, we get to talk to 2 of the 4 generations that were in that story right here on Destination Small Town. Gentlemen, do us a favor, try introducing yourself.
Hi, I'm Leroy Weaver, the 2nd generation of Weaver's Leather Store.
Hi, my name's Tim Weaver. I'm the 3rd generation of Weaver's Leather Store.
All right, give us a rundown. How did the whole thing start back in the 20s?
Yes, our store started in 1925. My father started. We've been in business, and he built this part of the new store here we're in 1930, and it was during the Depression time. A lot of people wondered why we could do it in the Depression time. My dad made harnesses. He got hurt in World War I and had went to like a vocational type school for shoe repair and harness making. Harness making was the most predominant thing because back then everybody used horses, and the shoe repair was secondary.
1950, my grandpa Ted Weaver passed away, and Leroy took over the business in 1950, January of 1950. Ran it for a couple of years until 52 when he was drafted into the Korean conflict. So he was in Korea from 53 to 54. He returned home from the service. All he could afford was 36 pair of Red Wing shoes. He went up to Red Wing, bought 36 pair, and came back and reopened the store after he was in the service. In late 70s, we added on to this 1930 building, and myself, I started working here full-time in 1985, and have enjoyed it ever since. In 96, we added on to the south side, went into the building that was already existing there, and we put in more of a display, which the 1930 building's all shoe repair, really, and storage for shoes. And when 96, we added on the display area, which is on the south side of our building, cut a hole in. In 2004, Dad retired. He really isn't retired. He works every day just as hard as everybody else. And Julie and I, that's my wife and I, took over the business in 2004. And we've changed some things. The clothing store here in town closed, so we had Carhartt clothing in 2005, which is a totally different thing than shoes. Learning the clothing is a challenging thing, but Julie has really helped us with that, especially on the ladies' shoes and the ladies' clothing. It's kind of been fun. We've really enjoyed it, and our inventory has gained so much, so in 2011 we started another building, and that's a 30 by 90 addition. We moved into that in 2012, and it's been just growing and growing every year since. So we've enjoyed the challenges.
When you had to, what was the hardest part of closing that store during the Korean conflict?
One of the hardest things about closing the store was to get rid of the merchandise that I had on hand, what little was, and then besides to keep the Red Wing Shoe Company business. There was other stores in town that wanted Red Wing shoes, and I really wanted to keep the dealership. So I talked to Red Wing and told them I was getting drafted to keep it open for me. The company was very gracious and went along with it, kept the business open for me when I come back. And that's the time when I got back where I could only afford 36 pairs of shoes. And went up there and got the shoes that I could afford.
What keeps the store going, guys?
Yes, hopefully the boys will keep it going. We have two sons. Our oldest son is Tanner. He graduated from college in 2016, and he is working here full-time now. And then our youngest son, Colin, has just graduated from high school, will be attending Iowa State University this fall, and hopefully they will be the fourth generations to keep this business running and continuing to grow.
All right, offbeat question. Strangest thing that you've ever had to repair?
Well, the strangest things I've ever fixed, probably a lady's bra one time when she brought it in, and then another lady wanted me to put for her leather motorcycle vest, she wanted me to put bra cups in her leather vest. I just couldn't bring myself to do that, though. But there's some unusual things that come in this store. Dog shoes, where a dog gets a hold of a lady's or guy's shoe and eats it half apart. We have a tendency of putting them back together, don't we?
Yeah, we try. We work on it. Sometimes it looks kind of ridiculous, but I mean, we've got compliments on what we have put together sometimes too. So it makes them useful again. And of course, probably the safest thing to say is we save souls and save heels, but we can't repair broken hearts.
You've been doing this since the 1920s. What's the newest and latest thing in the shoe business?
Well, we just like to keep up with the times. Just go with the flow of things. We've added Facebook, we've added Twitter, we've added Instagram, and I don't understand any of it. It's all our boys that are keeping that going. And with the fourth generation coming in, hopefully they can just go at the times and keep up with things, keep up with the trends. That's the hardest part. Well, unique things that we have in the store. We have belts.
Yeah.
I mean, all the way up to size 60 in belts. Gloves. We carry gloves up to triple X size. That's a big hand. Almost Paul Bunyan type gloves, wouldn't you say?
Yep. Down there.
We got overshoes. We carry overshoes up to size 16. Shoes for the family. We can fit the crib, little baby shoes from size 0 to the guy's shoe up to size 16 extra wide on the shelf. Not a lot of places you can walk into and get such a selection of shoes. Even clothing, we can handle baby's clothes from onesies all the way up to men's t-shirts to 4 and 5 extra large tall on hand, plus coats in the same. So people can find a good range of small sizes all the way up to the extra large sizes in our store. And we've been getting to be known for that. So it's kind of nice that way. The word of mouth does a lot.
Thank you very much, guys, for doing this interview with us. I think Weaver's Leather Store is just one of those great Midtown tradition kind of businesses that I hope are there for even more generations to come. Thanks for watching Destination Small Town.